Thank you and good evening, Mr. Chair, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Recently I've been studying and experimenting dopamine addictions, dopamine detox, and replacing my bad habits with more productive activities. Let me introduce you to what I have researched and my own experience. I have to say, when I started writing down this speech, I realized that for some people it might be kerfuffle to share some of these personal informations about how often do you go to gym, when was it last time, do you play guitar, or how many minutes or hours did you spend today on social media, or when was it last time you watched the porn. I leave all this on you to consider in your heads, but I'll give you a little key to these aspects, or how these aspects control your lives and how can you use them for your own benefit. One question I want to ask from each of you, one by one: what is the activity you always wanted to do but never took the step towards it? I always wanted to do bungee jumping but never got into it. It's still on my bucket list, maybe one day. Can we start with Isaiah?
Skydiving.
Dave?
Probably flying.
Skydiving?
I don't like it.
Rally car driver?
Yeah, I like it.
Skydive too.
Bungee jump.
Surfing.
Travel.
And Ruben?
Skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping. Okay. Mr. Chair?
More travel.
More travel. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. And let's get started. The word, which is the subject of this today, is dopamine, as you heard before. The chemical in our brains responsible for motivation and feeling being rewarded. In a healthy brain, the example would look like this. I get thirsty, so my thoughts will automatically become about drinking water. The brain releases dopamine first to motivate me to stand up and get a glass of water. I get a glass of water, I drink, I get more dopamine as a reward. And that's how simple it is. And the process, when you cook, tidy your garden, learn how to play instruments, when you prepare Toastmaster speech, that's always the same. But what happens if I take a shortcut? For example, I start playing a video game. Activities like that produce an enormous amount of dopamine in my brain, and it doesn't require much effort to get that dopamine. So I get very easily happy in this case. Obviously, I'll remember this feeling and I will repeat it. But after a while, my brain starts decreasing this amount of dopamine that it gives me in these cases. And the satisfaction from those activities will be lower and lower. Of course, the amount of dopamine released when I think of guitar is negligible in this stage. My motivation to get up and play is gone, and even feelings like hungriness can be ignored. I'm not even mentioning what happens with washing dishes. This is the same effect why narcoman has to raise the dose to reach the same level of satisfaction. Unhealthy high dopamine activities are using social media, streaming channels, especially porn service, TV, phone, computers, sugar, junk food, gambling, drugs. All these have one in common. They are addictive. And this can become a reason why we struggle to achieve our goals. Why we stop following our own dreams, why we keep doing the same job over years while our colleagues get promoted, or why we lack a good quality family time. My own experience, recently I stopped watching the series because leaving it after one episode and motivating myself to do something better or something more productive is just impossible. So, now, when I want to watch my favorite Big Bang Theory, I make sure I've done what I need to do first. Ended up, I haven't seen any episode for a while. I've never done with what I all need to do. But the fact that I spend my free time by using actions satisfies me probably more than the show itself. I always used to think that there are two types of people, lazy and productive. Or people with a hard job who must spend the whole afternoon on the couch to relax, and people with a job so easy so they can do sports and art after work. But the true difference between these two groups is really just motivation and possibly education, because if you understand the principle, you don't let anything control you. This is another classic example of I wish I would have learned that in a school. Now, how do I use this knowledge and benefit? I plan my activities the way to motivate myself first, be productive second, and reward myself last. In practical, I know I have to write down my speech, but I also want to watch a new Disney movie. So I give myself a promise of watching the movie anytime after my speech is ready. I can split the work into smaller parts and reward myself with a little treat after each part, and the thoughts of the big reward in the form of movie in the end keep me motivated for the whole time. I was going to prepare some examples of locally available activities that you could try, but you guys know the best what you like to do. So, thank you. Mr. Chairman, back to you.